Welcome to Transmute Wants Into Reality with Janell, Part 2. If you want to visit her website, it's janellray.com, JANELLRAE.com. This jumps right into the conversation about two people, in this case, Janell and myself, Brian, putting our hands together, and instead of high-fiving, we are pushing our fingers and palms towards each other. That's where our conversation on Transmuting Part 2 picks up.
And I was just thinking, like, if you put your hand here and I put my hand and we push.
Yeah, it's going to get exhausting over time.
And it's a natural kind of counterforce, too.
Well, here's the other thing, and you putting your hand right there just made me realize, too, when you touched my hand, you felt my energy, and I felt yours.
Yeah.
And it's the same when we push against things we don't want. Like if things are coming into my field and I don't want that energy and I'm pushing against it, I'm actually absorbing it more and more aware of it than I was before. So it's counter to what I really want. Huge to know that.
Yeah.
But we got to do something because we're being so overwhelmed. And I remember when I was a child, I'm highly empathic. And I literally, that was one of the reasons why I shut down my gifts, just because of survival. And many of us have shut down our gifts because they overwhelmed us. We didn't understand what to do with it. I don't know. I can't deal with all this input I'm getting. I don't know what to do with it. So what do? We shut it down. But now's the time that this is awakening. We're shifting as a planet and these gifts in us are awakening, but that overwhelm comes back. Matter of fact, it can come back in spades for some people. Some people are tortured by this ability to feel so much. So the power of being able to step inside a filter like this, and there's different ways we can give filters to people because we're individual, and how their empathic gifts work can vary what the filter needs to look like for them. So that's what we do and figure out for individuals when they're working with me. But the effect is, the end result is the freedom to be who and what I am. We're all looking to have that freedom to be who and what we are. So being able to create a space that's grounded and not overwhelmed so that my empathic gifts can do what they do. It's basically filtering out the static, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's beautiful because I'm just thinking like too, is like when you're pushing, you might inadvertently be creating a wall for yourself too.
Well, it does. Well, it can, right? Because I was speaking with a class a few days ago. We were debriefing, we do the lesson once a week and then we debrief once a week. We were debriefing, and that's one of the things that came up was this wall. And they were like, I don't want the wall. Well, the wall is fear-based. If I have to protect myself from what is overwhelming, because that's what we'll do, I'm protecting myself. Well, one, it's an old pattern. It's fear-based. So two things are happening. One is I'm not grounding. Fear will keep us from grounding. So now we're going to get double the overload of energy because I'm not going to ground properly. I'm in fear state. So many of us, we think we're grounding, just sidebar, we're not. I'm grounded. No, you're not.
Your buzz factor's all
you may be less buzzy than you were a few minutes ago, and that's good, but are you grounded? No. So that's another thing that we work on a lot in the classes, is just really learning how to go, well, why aren't I grounding? Number one, let's shift that, let's transmute that, and then let's ground. But walls are creating, it feels like a sanctuary, but we're actually separating ourselves from being who and what we are. We're not being able to expand. Walls are limiting. And here's this thing. And limiting is connected to limiting beliefs. I have a belief. I mean, this is where our beliefs, our energy gifts, our physical body, our energy body all start, and our emotional self all start merging together. We put these things around us as a coping skill, but coping skills can become our captors.
Right. No, I'm seeing that because I'm thinking about like what kind of things have walls and high walls to keep people out but then they also keep people in, and those are prisons and things like that.
Right.
So that is kind of what we're doing energetically
Yeah.
when we're creating these barriers that we think are to keep
Protecting
stuff
us.
out. But what you're saying is, rather than put up walls, it would be better to have filters.
Yes. In these filters are layers that also can send back whatever might be coming at us. Maybe it's not even personally, most of the time it's not personally coming at us. It's just that we're submersed in it. And so it can take and send it back to wherever it came from in a transmuted state. It may be intended, or it's out there and it's disruptive energy, it's low vibrating, but our filters can be programmed to transmute that and send it back out into the world. So we're helping the collective raise the vibration. So we're not just helping ourselves, but we're literally helping our families. We're helping, because that's where we're living, that's where our beings are, and we're helping our community, so it expands out into our community, it expands out into our workplace, it expands out into our cities, it expands, you get the picture, right? Because energy is a wavelength, it's a frequency, so it moves from us. So it really changes the perspective from being a victim of energy to a beacon of love energy. Right, that's huge.
Yeah.
And enough of us, as we grow in this space of understanding, we're really shifting in not just 1 times, 10 times, 100 times, thousands of times. You do it and I'm doing it, and many of you that are joining us on this video, you're learning to transmute. The impact of that is huge in a love way, huge in a beneficial, raise the vibration for the collective way.
Yeah, what I'm seeing is a lighthouse.
Yeah, that's what went in my head too.
With a lighthouse, and that sending that beacon out. And I know throughout time that's helped boats and sailors and lit up communities, and so that's a huge thing. The next question I have for you is, what advice would you give someone who wants to transmute or learn more about this?
Anybody that's looking to know how to transmute, you've made the first step. Bravo to you. Because it's the awareness. I need to do this. I'm being overwhelmed. I'm feeling the anxiety. I'm feeling the heaviness. I'm feeling the pressure. Those are all symptoms. I want to get away from people. I want to hide. I'm afraid of my gifts. Those are all symptoms of you're highly empathic, most likely very gifted in the intuitive space. Being aware is step 1. Step 2 is work with somebody that can teach you how to transmute. 1, what is there to transmute? Because there's some fine lines. What's mine? What's not mine? And if it's bigger than you, it's probably not yours. If it's that triggery overwhelm, it's probably not yours only. If it's smaller, is it mine? Yes. Okay. So walking with somebody that knows the difference, that can show you, that knows how to channel love energy, shift energy, how to engage, because the more you engage with yourself, the more you learn about who you are as an intuitive, it also makes a lot of what the input that's coming in make a lot more sense. And the more clarity we have, the less overwhelm there is. So it's twofold. We're transmuting, but we're also getting clarity because it comes into us as our teacher. These are your gifts. Your gifts, and this energy is coming in through your gifts. And the more we understand that, we're like, oh yeah, I know what to do with that. It's clarity.
That totally makes sense to me. It made me think about when someone goes to a travel agent. I know we don't have those too much anymore with the change of life. But when someone would go to a travel agent and they would give them brochures and say, oh, you can go to this place or that. Or someone who was a field guide and had been there could take you on a tour. And I think that's a huge difference. And I know you're the tour guide. You've been there, you've done that. It's not just you're going to give them some brochures. So I think that's a good point to clarify.
Well, it is. It's so much easier, right? If you know somebody that knows the area exactly, they can just take you to the great spots to go see, and you can just enjoy yourself and learn totally. Yeah, it helps. It does help.
All right, we've been looking at all the positives, but I wanted to see if there's any potential downsides here to transmuting. And the question that I have is about safety. Think of safety in car safety or all kinds of different things that are safe. Is this safe, or is there any downside to this?
Well, like anything, always, before you add or take away anything from your daily routine, always check with your healthcare provider. Because what we're talking about is not a subscription for any disease or any condition. It is simply an information share. So if it resonates with you, do your research, but this is an information share. Is it safe? I've worked with hundreds of people and myself in my journey, and what I am observing and what I've personally experienced is that we get a better connectedness to ourselves, which creates balance, and balance creates well-being.
I know for myself, it's like if someone said, is there a downside or anything to being healthy? I would say no, there's no downside. But we're so trained to think there has to be a trade-off or downside or something. I found this just really positive. There's no downside. It's like health. You can't have too much health. It's not unsafe to be healthy.
Right. Can you have too much fun? Can you have too much health? No. Can you be too happy? I don't think so.
Thank you for joining us on this conversation. This is Transmute Wants Into Reality with Janell, Part 2. If you haven't already, go back and watch Part 1. It's very insightful. Also, continue on with Part 3. If you have any questions, you can email Janell at janell@janellray.com. And that's Janell with no E at the end, and Ray is an R-A-E. Or you can visit her website at janellray.com. Thanks for joining us and getting a lot of value out of this series on transmuting. We'll see you on the next video.